Aren't they cream puffs? I better put my glasses on. I've had to make a few notes because of my deteriorating brain cells, and there are a couple of things that I thought of in our hotel room that you very kindly covered the cost of, and
would you say that again, James?
There he is. There he is.
We got pies.
I'll tell you what, but when you retire, the money runs out. That's why John Werribee, he'll be still teaching when he's 85. He can't afford to retire.
Isn't he 85 now?
No, but he's just entered his 8th decade. Well, a big thank you to James and to Jeff. This is always superbly organised, and it's a very generous venue, and those of us who are here for the staff have been truly made welcome, and we're most grateful to you both for that. Thank you very much. I know you can't clap them because you're all holding one of those bottles in your hand. Now, I think the genius of our school is that everybody gets on with everybody else. I hope you said hello to Tim Austin. Yeah. Or to Tim Hamilton. And I see David Glazebrook's there. Anyway, we'll get round to that. We're here till midnight. Well, the genius is that people that you would never dream of mixing with otherwise, but because they're Trinitarians, you get on famously. Now, you'll never believe this, but Roland Helby and Randall Cinnamon and I spent a month together in the Mediterranean. Well, I mean, what an unlikely threesome. Anyway, we had a great time. And I'm eternally grateful to Roland, who, when we were on sabbatical in 1985, looked after Marcus, who was actually in the boarding house, and Roland saw himself as his protector. So when we next went on holidays, Marcus said, "I'd like Roland to come with us," and so he did, and we've been spending Christmas Day together ever since. So there you are. So I think that's the genius about our school, that everybody gets on with everybody else, and it is. You know, when I retired, we had 62 nationalities and 28 religious groups. Everything was according to the rites of the Church of England, and everybody just seemed to acquiesce in that quite happily. But it was so wonderful. I mean, occasionally our Greek gardener would tell us that I had to do something about the language that the Greeks used. And I think there was a little outbreak once between the Tamils and the Sri Lankans. But apart from that, we got along so famously. It was wonderful. And I congratulate you all. Now look, I'm now in my 80th year, as is Ronald here, and Brian Miller.
And I'm older than you are.
And Robert Parker.
But he's dead.
Who's gone to glory. Well, I mean, what's it like to be in your 80th year? Well, we downsized when I started rolling down the hill every time I did the garden in Newport. So we sold the house and we got a tiny little apartment, tiny cubby house, right on South Stone. So every morning, we walk to Shelley Beach, do the loop, come back again and have a swim. And as I'm walking there, or tottering along, these young fellas, they just jog past me with their boards stuck on their arm, paddle out to the bow break, over to Winky Pop, over to Dead Man's Run. As I see them, I think, yes, I used to have a body like that. But it's all gone. Well, in the last 5 years, and this is a little bit that you won't have to worry about for a few years, but in the last 5 years since we met last, my doctor said to me on my 75th birthday, he said, you must have an assessment of your health. I said, there's no need, I'm in good health. The taxpayer shouldn't have to pay for my health at the age of 70. He said, you're having an assessment. So we went right through it all. Finally, he said, there must be something wrong with you. He said that 3 times. So on the 3rd time, just to satisfy him, I said, well, I've got a little heaviness in the legs. He said, you'll have to go and see a cardiologist at Mona Vale. I said, it's not necessary, it was a waste of time. And as I went in, there was a bloke staggering out, whose face was like beetroot. So I said to the cardiologist, oh, he must be in bad shape. No, she said, he's clear. So she said, strip down to your waist and let's have a look at you. She took one look at the computer, she said, you're in a bad way. Straight to North Shore Road, and within 3 days, I had an operation, a quintuple bypass. Never do things by halves. A quintuple bypass. Well, that's what they call preventive medicine. Both of my parents were carried off with strokes, and so I got in there before the stroke actually happened. And then, last year, suddenly my PSA went up from 4 to 7.6. So, I mean, if you like, I can show you the scars.
Oh no!
Very tangent. Give us a look. Yeah, go on.
Anyway, so I had what they call a localized radical prostatectomy. So lads, enjoy life while you can. What do we do when we went to this palatial room in the Menzies Hotel? What do we do? Jump in bed together? No, we read the paper. So I tell you what, enjoy life while you can. But I tell you what, there's one very, very good thing from this operation. The urine flow is as good as a 12-year-old. In my age, Ron doesn't think this is funny because he's had the same operation. But finally, in my 80th year, I have come to the conclusion that what's between the ears is more important than what's between the legs. I'm sorry to tell you, but that's right.
Takes 80 years.
80 years.
Now, how do you maintain your exuberance in life as the decades roll on? Well, I think you have to have a continuing narrative in life. You have to have a continuing narrative. And for 21 years, my narrative really was Trinity. I'd go for a quick breakfast standing up, I'd be into it. And then at 2 in the morning, I'd finally fall into bed. That was the daily grind, really, at Trinity. But I must say that, and I'm sure the staff here would agree, that we loved every minute of it, as one successive year after another of absolutely wonderful human beings pass through our corridors. And some of you say nice things about us, but I tell you what, it is I who am indebted to you. Now that's a very good English sentence, and you would know it was if you'd studied Latin. It is I who am indebted to you because you kept me going, you kept me at school truly alive, and that was to me a great enjoyment. I wouldn't have traded my life for anything. Now, and I'm going to finish. because we all want to talk to one another. But just to say this, well, in old age, my continuing narrative, of course, is with my family, my 4 wonderful children, and 9 remarkable grandchildren. But also, the thing that's really sustained me is my Christian faith. And I think the genius of Christian faith is that you can care until your heart breaks, and yet you can have a hell of a good life at the same time. That's to me the genius of the Christian faith. And as the outer man is withering away, so the inner man is renewed day by day. And that's an experience that I recommend to all of you. But you never know. Well, I hope we're all invited in my 84th year, James and Jeff. But just in case I'm not, let me quote my favourite Shakespeare line. Cardinal Wolsey, who was about to have his head chopped off, saying to his pupil, Thomas Cromwell, in Shakespeare's Henry VIII, "When I am forgotten, as I shall be, and sleep in dull cold marble, where no mention of me must be heard of. Say, Cromwell, say, I taught thee. Say, I taught thee.